What is going on, YouTube people? Northeast Ohio Sports Cards here for a little Marvel Monday. That's right. Our weekly comic book / non-sports card trading card show. And this week, I'm going to kind of tackle the elephant in the room that I see just absolutely everywhere. And, you know, I've talked about the reasonings behind this before. I talked about it when I was on Reggie Collects. But I just kind of wanted to flush this out a little bit more. And that is the whole comic book bubble. Are we in one? Is it going to crash? Oh my goodness. I can't wait for prices to go back to normal. This, that, and the other thing. So that is what we are going to talk about today, because I have some thoughts. Shocking, I know. Before we get into it, like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not, don't forget, I am now part of the eBay affiliate program. So if you are going to make any purchases at all, sports cards, comic books, anything, please help support the channel. Click the little eBay affiliate link down below. Takes you to the eBay homepage, and then go buy whatever it is that you are going to go buy. With all that being said, let's rock and roll. We'll see how spicy this one gets. So, if you spend any amount of time in the comic book community bubble, whether that's YouTube, Facebook groups, you name it, if you spend any more than about 45 minutes to an hour there, someone will make a post or a video about, is the comic book market in a bubble? How long until these prices crash? Why is this book selling for so much money? This thing was $500 ago, $500 6 months ago, 8 months ago, whatever, a year ago. I can't believe that these prices have 5x'd in a year. This is insanity. This can never last. Whatever. Anyone that spent time in those groups has seen things like this before. And a majority of people, a lot of people in those comments go, yep, bubble isn't going to last. Get ready. Get ready to get out. These are all going to go back to zero, you know, back to 2019 prices, whatever. Some people are more reasonable, and some people are on the opposite side of the fence like I am. So the crux of my argument is the comic book market says we are in a bubble. The old guard. I'm gonna use some very generalizations here, so please nobody take offense. The old guard comic book crew says we're in a bubble. This is stupid. A book like this, New Mutants 98, should not be $2,500 to $3,000. It's a 3,500 pop count book. You're all crazy. I personally think, yes. Well, so has the comic book market inflated due to a lot of extenuating circumstances? Yes. There's been stimulus. There's been new collectors coming in. There's been the sports cards people coming in. There's been big money coming in, etc. Boil all that down. You say bubble. I say market correction. In my opinion, and this is what drew me into this market and a lot of other people that are coming in from outside buying these things up, the comic book market prior to, let's say, December was drastically undervalued, in my opinion. You know, the comic book market saw a resurgence with the sports card market starting back at the early days of the pandemic. Prices continued to climb as we moved through, but at a slower pace than what they were now. Then first of the year hit, and the comic book market just went absolutely nuclear the last 3 months, like even more so than it was doing before. And like I said, a lot of people in the old guard are saying that this is bubble, it's going to burst. I don't think that's the case. I think this is a straight market correction because most, and I'm specifically talking CGC 9.8s and high grade older stuff, or just older stuff in general. Like if you're talking, you know, Hulk 181, Giant Size X-Men #1, Spider-Man 129, like that sort of stuff. 286, first Hobgoblin, 26. No, I'm sorry. I forget what her first Hobgoblin is. First Hobgoblin. Amazing Spider-Man 300 as you get into the more 90s stuff. This, New Mutants 98, ASM 252, whatever. Pick your poison. When you look at the census counts for pretty much any comic book, it's just not that many. I understand. Prior to all this book being a 3,400 census, I think it is right now, I just looked, was a ton. It was a lot in the olden days. Here's the secret. It's actually not that much. 3,400 of these is such a small number. And the people yelling bubble and that this is going to all come crashing down, I just don't think realize how small your census counts really are and how small of a number 3,400 is. That is just straight up not that many. You have a lot of new people coming into the hobby, the comic book collecting hobby, for a lot of different reasons. And from a lot of different walks of life. You have investment level people coming in. You have people that, made a fortune on crypto or whatever and are looking for more physical assets to diversify. Sports cards people are coming in. Just straight new people. Guess what? The MCU is really popular. Shockingly enough, some percentage of those people are going to dive into the comic books. The MCU is so popular that it only needs to be a small percentage of people that get pulled in, and that's enough to shift the entire market. This book is the whipping boy of whipping boys on my channel. I use it as the number one example for all this because it's the one in the early days that most people freaked out about. New Mutants 98. There's 3,400 of them. That is such a small number. I don't understand. Just because it breaks the old guard's rules, that's the only reason I can think that it doesn't make sense to them. And the part that I love, and this is my challenge to you. So if you're sitting there, you're a comic book collector, you got tons of stuff, whatever, and you're sitting there saying, these peak prices are unsustainable. This is never going to last. You got it. Nope. You're an idiot to buy anything right now. Fair enough. That's your opinion. You're entitled to it. My opinion is the complete opposite. Guess what? We're both probably wrong. It's probably somewhere in the middle. Regardless, if you truly believe that this is the peak of the market and that these prices are completely unsustainable, why do you own a comic book right now? The number one argument as I see is, just sell that and then buy it back later. So as you're writing that comment in Facebook or whatever, are you also posting all your books on eBay to sell? Because if you truly believe that, you'd be selling everything that you owned right now or within the last couple months. And maybe some of you have, other than maybe your super rare stuff. I don't know. But if you own any of these Copper Age 9.8s that are seeing astronomical prices, if you think we're all idiots for buying this stuff at this price, why aren't you selling them all to us? None of you should have comic books left in your collection. You should have sold them all, and you should be doing what you said and just sit back and say, okay, cool, I'll wait. This is eventually going to pan out and come back to normal. We talked about this on the Reggie Collect show a couple weeks ago, almost 2 weeks ago now. The word crash gets thrown around, bubble bursting, whatever. The key question is what are you crashing back to? If you crash back to 2018 prices, then sure, that's a crash. If you crash back to December 20 prices, that's really not that big of a drop off. And personally, I don't think this market's going to crash anytime soon. That's why I keep buying this stuff. I spent more on comic books this year than I have sports cards by a mile. I've probably spent 4x more on comic books than I have on sports cards since the beginning of the year. Because myself and a lot of other smart people, and I'm not saying I'm that smart, but a lot of other people that I talk to that are smarter than me looked at all this stuff and sat back, and we all said, you know what? This stuff's just way too cheap. Way too cheap. This ASM 252, the first appearance of the symbiote, classic cover. This in a 9.8, there's only like 1,400 of. People lost their minds when this shot up to 15, 16, 17, 1,800. This sits between, I don't know, 2,000 and 22, 2,400. Sometimes some sell for 25. It's kind of all over the place. There's only 1,400 of these. ASM 300 jumps $500 to $700 every time one gets posted in a 9.8. That book alone is lifting all the other symbiote stuff up with it. I still think this is ridiculously undervalued, sub 2K. There's only 1,300 of them. If someone wants to put the, complete symbiote collection together, and you want, I forget what the Marvel Spotlight, Secret Wars 8, this, ASM 300 and ASM 316, someone wants that whole collection put together and on display. This is criminally undervalued, in my opinion, at around 1,800 or 2,000, whatever it is. Like I said, it kind of jumps around a little bit on that one. And this one at 2,500 to let's just call it 2,500 with 3,500 of these on the census, to me is still undervalued. Now this crept up, this got all the way up to $3,500, and then it pulled back to $3,000, and then it kind of settled in at 2,500. It did exactly what we see in the sports card market a lot. Stuff gets hot, it shoots way up, it pulls back a little bit, and then re-levels out. I made mention of this book. Sorry, you don't have a great way to display these. Uncanny XMen 133. This is Wolverine first solo story, part of Dark Phoenix saga, what I would consider a classic cover. I wanted this forever. I had a hell of a time finding one in a 9.8. Do you know why? There's only 242 of these. That's it. 242. Do you know how popular of a character Wolverine is? Do you know how popular of a character he's gonna be when the MCU starts putting X-Men and stuff? Last one of these sold for about $650, $700. Okay. One popped up for $750. I bought it. That's this one here. That was about a month ago. Just last week, someone posted a 9.8 at $1,250. It was gone within, I'd say, about 8 to 12 hours. Just gone. Someone snagged it. The census counts are so low on some of this stuff. Like even like this, obviously 242 or 240, 250, whatever it is. That's minuscule. This at 1,300 isn't that many either. And this at 3,500 in the grand scheme of things isn't that many either. I use this comparison all the time. If I want a Zion rookie card, I have a million different options to choose from. If I want a New Mutants 98 first appearance of Deadpool, there is 3,500 in a CGC 9.8. Sure, maybe there's some more coming from CGC. Great. It's not going to be that many. Maybe there are these, the old guard loves to quote, wow, there's all these high grade ones bagged and boarded, ready to be shipped off, ready to go. Is there? They're not graded yet. They're not on the census yet. I have a feeling most people that really wanted to grade a New Mutants 98, given the prices, has probably already sent it in. Let's be real. And anyone that hasn't probably never plans on doing it. So until it changes collection's hands, which is another thing, there is a certain percentage of these comics, regardless of what you're looking at on the census, that are never going to see the light of day. Comic book collectors, and I understand why, are much more, let's say, clingy to their books. They are much more collectors than flippers. So this lower census count stuff, once it gets in people's possessions and collections, doesn't leave easily. So you have a certain percentage that's just wiped off based off that on top of it. And like I said, you people saying we're in a bubble, it's all going to come crashing down. Are you selling everything that you own? Because if you truly believe that, you would be. You'd be fire selling everything off fast as you could get it on eBay and get it boxed up and shipped out and running the Staples to get more bubble wrap. Like I said, every day you see these posts about this is going to crash, this is unsustainable, this, that, the other thing. I truly, truly believe this was a market correction and not a bubble. The market correction just happened to time with all this other nonsense going on. Because of the pandemic, because of the free money, because of this, that, and the other thing, all lined up with people going, yeah, they did have a little extra disposable income, probably some people, because of the stimulus checks. Yeah, they had a little bit more free time at home because they were working from home or whatever, and they dig a little bit deeper into this stuff. And as the collectible markets grow and grow and grow and surge throughout the year, it was only a matter of time before people figured this out. I think it was back in January. I was on Jeff Wilson's show, the Sports Card Investor Show. I think it was January or February, talking about non-sports cards, about how Marvel cards, these things right here, Marvel Universe, 1990, and PSA 10 were popping off. And at the end of the video, the end of the show, he asked, where do you think this goes next? And I said, the comic book market is criminally undervalued. It's going to be the next thing that pops off, in my opinion. And so far, that has been the case. And I'm not here to pat myself on the back or anything like that. But I just think there's so many people in the comic book market, the old guard, if you will, to generalize. Once again, generalizing a little bit here. Some of the old guard, I'm sure, gets it. That just are slow moving to understand what is happening in their marketplace. They don't understand why these prices are going up and going up and going up. Guess what? When you only have 3,500 or something and demand increases, this price goes up astronomically and it goes up fast, especially on this lower census count stuff. And people freak out about like Ultimate Fallout 4 being a $3,000 book. I forget the census count on that off the top of my head. I think it's around 3,000, maybe 4,000. Miles Morales, for a lot of people, like it or not, that's their Spider-Man. And he is going to be their Spider-Man for a long time. And he hasn't even been in a movie yet. What happens to Ultimate Fallout 4 when we get casting news and this, that, and the other thing? And all of a sudden he's in a trailer and he's fighting flying around, swinging with Spider-Gwen and with Spider-Man and who knows who else in some multiverse crazy movie. What happens when Tom Holland shows up wearing this? You think this is still going to be $1,800 to $2,000 with a census of 1,300? I don't. Now, will there be some price corrections and pullback? Sure. But the people saying it's going to crash and go all the way back to pre-pandemic prices, you are completely out of touch. Pre-pandemic, this was like a $500 to $600 book, maybe not even that much. This was like I don't even remember, $400, $500 book, give or take. It could crash. They're not going back. You're not getting these for I would be shocked if you could get this anytime soon for sub $1,000. And I would be shocked if you could get this for, I'm going to say, sub $1,500 to $2,000. Anytime soon, if ever. Sure. Might prices pull back a little bit more? Could it happen? Yes. But I think the new floors are established now. Realistically, I don't know that I see this dropping below 1,500. I don't know that I see this dropping below 2,000. Now, did it crash from 3,500 back down to 2,000 to 2,500? Sure, if you want to call that a crash. But do you honestly believe this stuff's going back to 2019, early 2020 prices? Like pre-pandemic? Does anyone actually really think that's going to happen? And like I said, maybe it could. I could be the idiot here. And one day, a year from now, 6 months from now, 5 years from now, whatever, someone will comment on this and go, nah, dummy, it all crashed back. Got him. That very well could be the case. As I famously like to say on this channel, I'm just a guy talking into a microphone in a basement. What the hell do I know? I just know when looking at this market and the prices of this stuff, to me, it makes sense why they have soared and why they continue to go up. The biggest thing we have seen in the sports card market the last couple months is census counts / in the sports card world population counts and scarcity matter. Modern sports cards, other than a few select different things, in most cases aren't that rare when you really get down to it. When we all looked at the comic book market back at the beginning of the year, and I said, wait, there's only 1,300 of these in a 9.8? There's only 3,500 of these in a 9.8? Holy hell. What have we all been doing? We've been sleeping on this forever. And like I said on Reggie's show, it's not like Marvel's going to stop making stuff anytime soon. You know, the Marvel train is full steam ahead. And now they have the Disney Plus outlet in addition to the movies, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm mostly talking Marvel because that's mostly what I collect. You know, DC stuff has gone up some. There's a lot of different independent books out there that have gone up. But I am mostly specifically talking about Marvel because that's what I personally collect. And that's another reason why I've tried as much as possible to stay away from the ultra modern variant cover madness that's out there. Some of them look great, but I would, in most cases, rather have something like this than a Gleason Spider-Man 55 or whatever issue number that is, 53, with all the different variant covers. It's a sweet looking cover, don't get me wrong, but I don't know that long term that's going to hold tremendous value. Maybe it has a decent floor because people will always want the cover. I don't know. I personally have approached this as attacking this sort of stuff and older. I mean, some of the older stuff is properly priced. And, you know, you see people keep wondering why the hell does Hulk 181 and Giant Size X-Men #1 just keep every time, you know, Comic Tom does an update video on the weekends that it's a new record price for all this X-Men stuff. Don't forget, prior to the MCU, the most popular Marvel product that existed were the X-Men. The X-Men are ridiculously popular. They got pushed to the side because of the MCU had to go in the Avengers direction. This X-Men stuff's all going nuts now. What do you think happens when we actually get casting, rumors, a trailer, an actual movie? And unless the whole Marvel machine just implodes, the X-Men are going to be around for a while. And so is Spider-Man. That's why those, I think, are the two hottest commodities out there. And that's why I don't think this market's going to crash. I think what has happened the last 3 months is a simple market correction. Everything in the market was basically undervalued once new people started coming in, and there was a spree to get as much stuff as you could possibly get your hands on until everyone figured it out. People have figured it out, and now you're seeing prices level off. This has leveled off. This has leveled off. Ultimate Fallout 4 has held completely steady in that 3 to 3,500-ish range. ASM 300 continue every time one sells, it slightly creeps up a little bit. So you're still seeing some things trying to find their ceiling. And once again, the old guard screaming on every single Facebook post, the end is nigh. I hope you're selling it all. Because I'm here ready to buy it. Because if you truly believe it's all coming crashing down, then you should be selling. And then buy it back from us idiots that are selling it for 50, 60, 70% losses in however many years you think it is till this thing crashes. And once again, it's crashed back to what? If the market crashes in 3 years, but crashes back to, a year from now's prices or these prices now, it still didn't crash all the way back to where it was pre-pandemic. That's the thing. When someone says crash, it's crash back to what? And like I said, I just don't think there's any way stuff like this goes back to pre-pandemic prices. That's all I got for you guys and girls today. Don't forget to like, leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. I'm very curious about everyone's thoughts on this one. Like I said, I've kind of beat this horse to death, but I haven't really dug in it specifically. So, and then if you want to follow along, subscribe. For the comic book people checking this video out, I am mostly a sports card channel, but every Monday I do post something comic book related, and maybe you'll find some value in some of the other shenanigans that I get myself into as well. So we'll catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.